Well, good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, and it is day 133 of our quest to lose 150 pounds. I actually woke up before my alarm this morning, which is interesting because I didn't actually get to bed at the time that I wanted. I was about an hour late, a little bit over an hour. So I only ended up sleeping, I think it was like 6.5 hours or something. Just now saying that I get yawny. But yeah, I woke up before my alarm and was relatively awake. Didn't really feel like I needed to go back to sleep, which is unusual for the last few weeks. I've had a difficult time getting up at the time my alarm goes off, and I usually just kind of snooze it for like most of an hour, really. But yeah, this morning I had that, but my throat was really dry, and for those of you guys who don't know, I sleep with a CPAP machine because I have sleep apnea, and it's pretty well controlled. My therapy is working very well, but for some reason this morning I had I think there must have been like a leak or something in my mask, which is kind of unusual. That doesn't really happen. And so my AHI, so the AHI is the number basically that it's a apnea hypopnea index that tells you if the therapy is working or not. And it's always been pretty good for me, but today was unusually high. It was a 13, and it's usually supposed to be under 5, which it is most days for me. So maybe that had something to do with it. But then I have the Aura ring, which is the little ring that I wear. That's kind of like my sleep and activity tracker. And it also, one of the things that I really like about this one is that it measures blood oxygen throughout the night. And it said that I had no issues there. My blood oxygen didn't drop, which is one of the big issues with sleep apnea. So sort of okay on that front. Now it's time for my blood pressure, which I already have it ready, and then we'll do metabolism, and that's it. Then, as most days, we're gonna go for a walk, get some of our steps in. So, all right, let's get going with Thursday. Ooh. Look at that. 118.72. Now that is an excellent blood pressure. So very happy about that. Let's do Lumen, and then we'll see what our eating plan is for today. All right, and I did my Lumen, and interestingly enough, I got a 3, which again, it's a little weird because I have been eating under my carb allowance all of this week, the last 3 days. And so it's a little interesting that I would get to a carb, that I would wake up in carb burn. It's like a high 3 instead of waking up in fat burn, since, I didn't really consume that many carbs. But as they like to say, it is weird. Metabolism is a complex thing, and so they say, don't fret about the odd reading. So that means that today is technically a low carb day. Well, not technically. I mean, it is a low carb day. So I have about 150 grams of carbs. And let's see, we're making like a chicken curry for lunch, and we're doing some of our nuts for dinner. Okay, so it's not going to be difficult to actually eat low carb today, because basically there are no like big carbs in it at all, actually. Anyway, all right. So as most days, like I said, we're gonna go out for a walk and just kind of go around the plaza for about an hour. Make sure that we get our steps in, and I will see you guys for lunch. All right, you guys. Well, it is time for lunch. I'm gonna be making lunch, and now we conveniently have our menu here. We decided that it was very difficult to come up with things on the spot when we needed to make food, especially when you're feeling cravey and stuff. And so anyway, it's in Spanish, obviously, but jueves, which is Thursday, we got like a curry chicken, and then for dinner we have nuts. But the curry chicken is sort of like a Thai curry, but Jolima doesn't really like spicy food. And so I have some curry powder that's more like an Indian curry type thing, but it's not spicy. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of the two. I don't know how it's gonna come out, but it's basically gonna be a bunch of chicken and a bunch of vegetables with some coconut milk. And that's it. So I'll put it all together, show you guys what it looks like. We'll take a look at the numbers. But this is basically, this basically has no carbs. The vegetables. The thing is that Lumen doesn't count non-starchy vegetables as part of your carbs. Carbs are like if you have some rice, if you have some beans, stuff. Obviously, if you have like bread and shit like that, or like fruit, but basically, they say non-starchy vegetables are good for you, so they don't count those towards your carb allowance for the day. So, this is basically, according to Lumen, a no-carb lunch. So let me just kind of put it together, try to show you guys a little bit, and we'll take a look at the numbers and see how we are getting our nutrition down today. Measuring all this stuff gets a little tricky sometimes, so especially because I'm not just cooking for myself, but I'm cooking for Jolima as well. So let me measure these things first. So we're gonna measure some coconut milk and some oyster sauce. Now, carbs are gonna come from this because this is basically sugar at this point, but and then some fish sauce. They don't really contribute much calorically, but flavor-wise, they do. So, all right, I'll measure these guys, get all the veggies ready, and, keep going. All right, so we have, what do we have? We have coconut milk.
375.
So 375 coconut milk, then 75 oyster sauce, and 65 fish sauce. This is all in grams, by the way. Okay. And Jolima is going to be my cooking assistant today. We've been working on her English this morning. We went on our walk and we practiced some English, and it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Did you learn a lot? Yeah, so.
So.
All right, let me get the vegetables out and we'll get cooking. All right, so we got our onions, green onions and chicken sort of going in there, and then we're gonna add all the veggies. Now, this is gonna be for 2 meals for 2 people. So it's a bunch of stuff. But the idea is to only cook once. Well, not just once, but to not be cooking all the time. So, all right. Let me just keep adding these things. We're gonna add our coconut milk and other oyster sauce, fish sauce, and all that stuff. And we'll just let it cook. And we'll take a look at all the final ingredients and most importantly, the macros. But see you in a bit. All right, so I think that for the amount of food that we have in here, the broth is not very coconutty from the coconut milk that we had. So I'm gonna add this sort of like coconut milk that I bought at the Asian market, and this is Thai coconut milk, and it has a little more I guess, a little more fat. So we'll do this one just so that it's more coconutty. All right, and here we go. This is what we got for lunch. This is what our little chicken curry looks like. I don't know all the macros just yet because, you know, I measured everything, but for the big pot, so I'm gonna have to figure out like what that is and how big a portion this is, you know? And so we'll sort of take it from there. I did let this one talk me into having some beer and some rice with it. That's probably gonna increase my carb. And you know, I opened my big mouth and said this is gonna be a carb-free lunch, and it's not quite gonna be the case, but it is very nutritious. It's got a lot of goodies in here, and so that'll be good. We'll take a look at the numbers a little bit later, figure out exactly what's in it, and how, you know, and then we'll adjust for dinner to make sure that we're meeting our goals, our nutrition goals for today. Yeah, let me have some lunch. I'm hungry. So, see you guys in a bit. So let's take a look at the numbers. We sort of, I mean, it's not exact. We're not down to the gram perfectly measured, but it's about 6 portions. So this is what it is that looks like. So let's just take a quick look at what goes into each portion of this chicken curry thingy. We got 10 grams of olive oil, 250 grams of mixed vegetables, 16 grams of corn, 250 grams of chicken. I used 2 different kinds of coconut milk, so that's why I put them here differently, I guess. Because one I measured in grams, the other one I measured in ounces, just because it's what was in the can. So that's why I measured it separately. And that's that. 13 grams of oyster sauce, and we can see oyster sauce is basically just carbs. It doesn't have anything else. But then the fish sauce is no carbs, no fat, just protein. The mushrooms, they're dried mushrooms. And so there was technically only like maybe 5 grams of dried mushrooms, but it's about 3 times what a normal, I could be way off about this, but, and mushrooms technically, if you see this little green leaf here, that just means that the Lumen is not counting those carbs towards the total carb allowance. And so that's why I'm doing 15 grams. And then it at the end is 8 grams of pea protein powder and 3.3 grams of collagen peptides, because it's what I put in there, divided by 6, which is the amount of portions. So this, just the soup, is 917 calories, 11 grams of carbs, 69 grams of protein, 66 grams of fat. And that is pretty good. Now, I added it separately so we could see the I guess carby things that we ended up having, which is 155 grams of white rice, and that is basically all carbs. 18 ounces of beer, that's again all carbs, and I had 20 grapes for dessert. Now grapes are something that I'm having that it's helping curb the sugar monster. It's still sugar, so it's not like a cold turkey withdrawal, but you know, but it's still like, I mean, it's still sugar and it's still carbs, but at least it's in a, you know, more natural form, you know, with a little bit of fiber in there. And I know that grapes are very high in the sugar content, but it is helping me stay the course this week. So I'm embracing the grapes. 20 grapes, about 17 grams of carbs, about 1 serving. You know, I don't know that we should count that protein or the fat in, you know, well, there's no fat in the grapes, but the protein. Anyway, so this ended up adding 497 calories and 79 grams of carbs, which is basically, you know, what we, the plan that this is giving me, because I'm only having 2 meals per day, and we're doing this sort of like an intermittent fasting thing between noon and 6 p.m. Sometimes I'll go as far as 8 p.m. But I'm only technically having 2 meals. So it's telling me to split it, you know, half and half. So I guess we had a little bit more than half what we were supposed to do for our first meal. I guess breakfast technically is lunch, but technically is breakfast. And so we had a little bit more, which means that we're going to have a little bit less for dinner, but we're having nuts, so it's not going to be that hard. because we'll probably add a little bit of honey, a little bit of goji berries, but it's not going to be terrible. Overall, pretty good. Maybe it could have been a little bit higher in protein if we wanted to hit those numbers. It's probably going to be a little bit harder to meet the protein goals with nuts for dinner. So this is something that can be a little bit tricky when we're not measuring beforehand to make sure that we're adding the right amount. But with something like this, can be a little tricky because it would be just more difficult, just more cumbersome to measure like exactly how much I need and how much we're gonna make because we want to make a big batch. So maybe for when we're gonna have it tomorrow, because tomorrow we're also having it for lunch, I'll add a little more pea protein, a little more collagen, just so we have more protein in there. But overall it's pretty good because we have the last couple of days. So Monday we're pretty on point, but then Tuesday we did more protein that we needed. Wednesday the same thing. So even if we are a little under today, we're still kind of meeting our goals for the week, I guess. So yeah, these are the numbers for lunch, you guys. We're gonna go out for a moment, run some errands, so I'll get some more steps in. But yeah, that's basically it. This is what we have for lunch, and I'll see you guys. All right, so it's time for dinner, and here's the thing. We're gonna go to a movie tonight, and this one over here can't be in the movie theater without eating popcorn. So, no? Mm-hmm. So, I am being a responsible adult, and I am allowing myself 245 calories that I have left of popcorn, and that's about 6 cups, which actually 6 cups is a lot of popcorn. So I'm probably won't eat the whole thing, but I'm giving myself enough leeway, and that is within my numbers, within my allowance for today. We're probably going to come up short in protein. For dinner, I'm going to have about 50 grams of walnuts and 50 grams of almonds and 15 grapes. And so that is what we're having. That and then the popcorn a little bit later. So it's kind of a treat. It's a way to do it. Yeah, why not? Why not? So let me get the walnuts and the almonds ready and the grapes, and we'll take a look at it. All right, so this right here is what 50 grams of walnuts and almonds and 15 grapes look like. So, well, a little bit more. There were a couple of small ones. So I'll put them in. But what's interesting to me about this is that I don't know that I realized before we started doing this how calorically dense nuts are. I mean, I knew there's always the advice of like, eat them in moderation because they have a lot of calories and stuff, but they really do. I mean, like this is, let's take a look. So the 100 grams of, 50 walnut, 50 of almonds is 622 calories out of 100 grams. I mean, there was over a kilo of vegetables in lunch, and all of those didn't even make it to, I can't remember what it was, but nowhere near that. So it's just interesting to see how calorically dense they are. They pack a lot of punch in a small package. So, and then 15 grapes is 13 grams of carbs. So again, these little guys are pure carbs, better than like any other kind of sugar, more like processed sugar, but still. So it's just interesting to see that. So we're gonna, it's just interesting. It's interesting. I don't really like almonds very much, especially raw ones. Well,
It's okay, I guess. I think I tolerate walnuts better, but the raw almonds are not my favorite. But, you know, with the grapes, they'll be a little bit better. So, and there you have it, folks. All right, we're gonna finish this. We're gonna go to our movie. See you in a bit.